Hi, I'm Haley Fessner, and this is the close reading practice for week 1. I'm reading R. Crumb's A Short History of America, parts 1 and 2. I like this one because of how it conveyed a passage of time effectively without really using words. The comic is 12 sequential panels telling, as its title suggests, a short history of America. We follow the same geographical location from pre-colonization through the Industrial Revolution and into the modern age. The first panel introduces us to a very natural setting. There's nothing other than trees, grass, and a few deer and birds in the background. In the second panel, we see our first signs of man, with the loss of some of the natural environment and the construction of the railroad. Gradually, we are introduced to more and more modern development, with the introduction of power lines, a horse and buggy, and a house. The power lines grow more numerous, dwellings appear in the background, people increase, more railroad tracks are put in, and larger and more defined roads become apparent. By panel 6, what was once a clump of trees is now a small town. Panel 7 thrusts us into the future, with paved roads, streetcars, automobiles, and ever more numerous power lines. We have traffic lights and street lamps, and an increase in advertisements and signage. The house that we were introduced to in the third panel has gradually been reworked and renovated, and becomes a store and eventually a gas station before being torn down entirely. By the final panel, the railroad, which was the first sign of civilization that we were introduced to, has been taken out, and the buildings in the back now appear to be apartments. We have made the transition from somewhere prior to the middle 19th century to modern America. That's the general story contained in the comic, but its technical elements are equally interesting. Of course, we were introduced to the idea of comics as a series of sequential images in our assigned reading by Scott McCloud, and this comic really fits it to a T. I think that the entire comic is an example of aspect-to-aspect closure, because we have a fast pace, a related location, but, in part due to our lack of text, we have to draw conclusions on what happens between the panels based upon the elements introduced in each one. The words here I would label as additive, because while they are sparse and relatively minor, they do add to the impact, most notably in the signs and especially at the end, in this little box that asks us, what's next?